The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Wednesday in the Riv, and as you can see, because I have a tie on.
After the council meeting, before Thanksgiving, and after a day that we weren't here.
After a day that we weren't here because of water. It's sabotage. That's what it was. They didn't want us to have. We got so much to talk about.
By the way, it was over by the path where.
Really?
Where the water main break was.
So now that means I can sue them now because I fucking slipped in the mud. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's. We got so much to talk about, and we only got today because Friday we don't have a show.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Well, before we go anywhere, I want to bring up the latest and greatest news. Not greatest, but a teacher from the Atlantis Charter School has been terminated and allegedly was escorted out of the building by several police officers, I guess yesterday. He had allegedly had inappropriate conversations with a student. Now, I don't know if it was the student who posted these alleged conversations or whatnot, but they were posted on social media along with a picture of the teacher. Vicious. That's vicious.
Yeah.
But the conversation, if those are accurate and if they are true, was very salacious. And it was solicitation. And, the kid kept saying, I'm a sophomore, is that okay with you? And the teacher still didn't back down. He was totally inappropriate. And so the police department's not making any comments at this point, and the school only made the comment that a teacher has been let go for inappropriate communications. And that was the message that was sent home to parents. I don't know if the messages are still posted on social media, but they were all over social media yesterday. So, again, this is a very inappropriate action of a teacher and should have been stopped as soon as it started, but, this is the world we live in today.
No, you're right, and I don't understand, obviously, I know you read them all.
Yes, I did.
And I just don't understand why the teacher would engage a student at all.
Right.
In any kind of conversation, no matter where it went like that. If it wasn't related to academics or something like that, and he started going off the reservation, it doesn't seem logical. But hey, as you said, allegedly a lot of allegations.
Yes,
but the thing is, they are in print, and that's not a good thing.
Nope.
But let's get to the council meeting last night, where they were. Again, they put on a show.
They put on a couple of shows.
Well, they talked about the public safety meeting, and I know that I know Nelson was down there, and he read him some statistics, but it was deplorable, really, when I saw it. When EMS was up there saying, well, we got a 8-minute response time, and again, I don't know what Seth Akins is he just doesn't get it. He should keep his nose out of public safety. He doesn't know anything about it. And they're talking about response times like their major concern is lawsuits. That's going to be the city's defense if they kill somebody. We got there within those are guidelines. But what disturbed me more than that was the fact that these people who are supposedly public safety officers, people whose lives, whose real job, not Laura Washington, my job is saving lives. Mm-hmm. Their job is to save lives. And I believe Michelle Dion posed the question, are you telling me that getting there, faster isn't better? And I don't think she got an answer to that question.
Nope, and she said very clearly, she goes, now is my interpretation correct that for every minute delayed, there's a 25% chance less of the person surviving? There was no response.
Yeah, of course not, because, and we read on this show a while back about 3 minutes for cardiac arrest, and
Right.
brain damage begins. And you, obviously, as a nursing professional, know this.
Right.
So they're trying, so that whole thing, it's despicable that people who are in the job of really saving lives can look into a camera and try to justify the fact that they're going to have longer response times. And then kind of say, well, that's the fire. You know, I believe somebody brought it up about the NFPA. Oh, that doesn't affect us. Well, thank you. Thank you for making the case for fire-based EMS, because they're so clueless. They made the case for fire-based EMS. So let me quickly just do this because we got so much to talk about. But remember, EMS all got big pay raises, got fire department ranks and pay, got put in group 4 because they were going to be firefighters. And then they reneged, and Paul does what he does best. He created an entire new department with a whole bunch of new, probably pay raises and new jobs to expand government, not shrink it. So I had the booklet. I got so much stuff here today, I don't even want to go to, but we went over the booklet, and I've got it available to anybody that wants to read it, fire-based EMS. Now I'm going to tell you why it's better. They seem to think it's okay to get there in 8 minutes. I'll bet you that if it was one of their relatives, they would be really upset if they came and took 7 minutes to get there, where the old station, they would have got there in 3, and that person suffered catastrophic injuries or death. Nobody in public safety, police, fire, EMS, should be able to look a camera in the eye if they really are committed to public safety and say that the most critical factor is response time to everything. How they can do that is beyond me. It's despicable. Despicable. We're looking at, and they are subject to lawsuit, by the way. You know, they seem to be already preparing for lawsuits because, let's face it, they're down the center. So you pull out of the center, the front door to Bedford Street, or out the side door on Troy Street to Bedford Street. Try to make it to Candace, where the ambulance used to be.
And that was an item that was brought up.
And try to make it up there. See how long it takes you in the middle of the day with traffic down Bedford Street, up there, traffic on Plymouth Avenue, 2 of the most busiest streets in the community. But nobody cares about public safety. And then the coup de grace, the ice cream, the whipped cream, giant pile of whipped cream, whole bunch of cherries, nuts, chocolate sprinkles, and everything. When Mr. Expert on public safety said it was a personnel issue.
Yes.
A personnel issue. Are you kidding me? But they're not. They jeopardized public safety, moved all kinds of apparatus for a personnel issue. Thank you, Paul. You can tell why you were a vice principal, because you don't know how to handle anything. That's a job. How many times have I said that? It's a job. It's not 2 people are not getting along. We created an entire new department. We moved trucks all over the city and they're doing it, by the way, it's alleged. They're doing the same thing on the school side.
Yeah.
There's a personnel issue in maintenance, and what they're doing is some guy's supposedly working a side job and they don't like it, but he's in. So now they're going to split that and make 2 and create a new supervisor and split the department. That's what Paul Coogan is best at. Creating more jobs. That's what the school department does. And now he's brought that to the city. A personnel issue. Well, let me tell you a true story. When I first got on the fire department, back when the dinosaurs were pulling the apparatus, before the horses even, I worked with 2 guys. I started at the Globe Fire Station as a firefighter. Went back as a lieutenant, then went back there as a chief. But the Globe and the South End's near and dear to my heart. I spent a lot of time in the South End. But I worked with two guys when I walked in a fire station. I never forget it. I walked in for my first shift. In those days, we used to split, we work half, 2-year shifts with one other slot and the other half. It's weird. Worked in for my first day shift. And I walked in, and the two pump operators, drivers. I see them getting, checking the trucks at the beginning of the day, which you do. I'm a new guy. I go upstairs. Then I noticed that these two guys on the apparatus, they're not even talking. So then we go to the kitchen for lunch, and one guy sits at one end of the kitchen, the other guy sits in the other. They don't even talk. So I asked one of the guys, I said, hey, what's going on with those guys? He goes, oh, they haven't talked in 20 years. I said, you're kidding. He said, no, they don't talk. They never talk. They never interact. They hate each other. He said, it's an ethnic thing. Like the Serbs and the Croats and stuff. Mm-hmm. But it said, they hate each other. They don't talk at all, ever. I go to my first fire. The only time I heard the two of them communicate. Engine 5 to engine 10, you ready for the water? Yep, send it. Guess what? They didn't talk for 25 years, but they went to work every day. And when the bell rang, they did their job. Because guess what? Unlike the school department, where the answer to personnel problems is to separate them, create new departments, and give more promotions and more money. In those days, the fire department was a job. It was like, you guys don't want to talk to each other? Don't talk to each other. But you better do your job when the bell hits. And they did. And if they didn't, they could get transferred to another station. They're not going to completely disrupt the city. You know how ridiculous? We're going to get that tape, and I'm going to play that over and over and over again during the election season to show how incompetent this mayor is.
And Seth Akins was asked directly, why is this being done? And that's when he turned around and said, it's a personnel issue. I can't discuss it in an open meeting, but I will speak with you afterwards privately. And that was with Michelle Dion. So I'm wondering if he spoke to her about it, and what's this personnel issue?
And it doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter. How many people that worked in a mill their whole life liked everybody that worked on a sewing machine next to them? This is ludicrous.
Right.
This isn't even. I mean, this is beyond human comprehension. How pathetic. We have no leadership at all. We disrupt an entire city's public safety for a personnel issue. Personnel issue, and I believe Michelle Dion's response to that was, my knee-jerk reaction was, if it's a personnel issue, fix it.
Right.
Or fire them. Mm-hmm. And guess what, Michelle? You were 100% right. It's a personnel issue.
That's right.
There's more than one station with an ambulance. You separate them. If you're weak, like our mayor is, and what you do is you bring them in the office and say, this is not a club. This is a job. You're being paid to do your job. I don't care if you don't like the person. You're here to do a job. Do it. Personnel issues, that's two that are going on right now. How many times has this been done? Numerous times in the school department, for sure. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. This shows cluelessness. You can tell that Paul Coogan never had a job where he had to really make a decision or really come down on somebody. He never had to call anybody in his office. I had to write up my lieutenants. if they didn't do their job, and I did. And some of them were my friends, but they violated the rules and regulations, and somebody said, I can't believe it. I thought he's your friend. I said, he is. But the rules and regulations are for everybody, and this is a job. You've got to abide by them. But he can't. He's walked around with his hands in his pocket his entire life and never made a tough decision. And you want to run the city, and then they try to con everybody. 8 minutes? 8 minutes, look in a camera and tell people that you don't believe that getting there in 3 is better than getting there in 8. And we read the stats that after 3 minutes, every minute
Yep.
means
25% reduction.
Brain dead
Yep.
or not brain dead. And then the other ridiculous thing, and our friend had to raise her head. Our resident, I'm in the business of saving lives, who isn't, because she's agreeing with this BS about expanding run time. She knows nothing about it. And then she was going to confirm that the city's doing well, because who's doing well? Out-of-state developers, in-city rich guys, because we measure how well Fall River's doing, not by the fact that, what did they say last night? 63% of the people are what?
63%.
Tell me,
Poor.
please. Poor. 63% are poor. But the city's in good shape because we're at 700 million, a billion, or whatever. Who gives a damn? Because it's meaningless. The only thing that matters to is somebody that's going to sell their house, or somebody that's a developer. The people trying to pay their taxes, who are, by the way, 13% above half in this community. And that means higher property taxes, and they can't eat. This is Paul Coogan's announcement. We're going to keep elevating ourselves. He's not elevating anything except his rich friends' bank accounts, and elevating all his friends that he gave jobs to. And even with the thing, then of course our resident fact checker, Councilor Washington, who said, "Oh, let me confirm this. We're really doing well." Well, it all depends on your perspective, I guess. You know, when you can't pay your rent and you're getting evicted, and that comprises 63% of the people you represent, by the way, Councilor Washington, you're not doing your job. You don't have a clue. You don't have any perspective. Just like, oh, it's a reason to completely disrupt public safety because of a personnel issue. How mindless and clueless are these people? And then they lied. And then she had to question Nelson, because Nelson went up there with some facts. Fall River's #1. Oh, well, yeah, well, are you sure? Sure? Well, I'm sure. Okay. This is the thing he used, okay? Massachusetts' most dangerous cities. Here's the list in this article. I'll read it. Fall River, we're #1. We're #1. Okay, that was like last year, I think, because Springfield, Holyoke, North Adams, Boston, Chelsea, Worcester, Hadley, Brockton, and I forgot the other ones on the other, Mansfield or something like that. Okay,
So
now,
New Bedford's not even on this list.
no.
So we're
Brockton is, but that's as close as we can come.
and Brockton is low on the list.
Oh, they're 9th.
Yeah, so
They're 9th. But wait a minute, CJ. We got to clarify this, because she was checking, and I don't want her to check, Laura. Check me, baby. Come on. Check me. So this is the first article that was downloaded. And it was a general article. It was more geared to why this stuff happens and why these cities are dangerous. And I would recommend that you all go read it. It's, that HTT, whatever. Original.newsbreak.com at Terry Mansfield. Okay. Now, just to show you where it's not old news, because remember, Paul's been in 3 years.
Yep.
And 3 years we've been what? We're #1. We're #1. This is the other one I pulled down. 10 most dangerous cities in Massachusetts, 2022 update. What year is this?
2022.
Oh, my God. I guess this is a current
I guess so.
stat. And it also says Peter Ortiz, last updated, November 7th, 2022.
17 days ago.
What month is this?
November.
What year is this?
2022.
Okay, so let's check it out. 10 most dangerous cities in Massachusetts. Number 1, the Riv. The Riv. But to show you this has been updated, if you look at the second city, it is now Holyoke.
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 That's the way they pronounce
That's right,
it.
Holyoke.
Holyoke. Holyoke. Springfield has gone to number 3. Holyoke has been moved from 3
To 2.
to 2. So these are updated. So, and by the way, so they say, this is BS. This is who wrote this? Where did they get their numbers? I'm going to tell you. The FBI.
Oh, that's not
The
credible.
FBI.
Oh, come on, that's not credible.
Of course it isn't. Because, and how does the FBI get their statistics? Do they send agents down here and to every city and town? No, they operate on the data they get from the city
Correct.
into the reporting system. So this is the reality. Reality. The data that the FBI uses to come up with these things is the data they get from the reporting systems from every city and town in the United States of America. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You can try to put lipstick on this pig, but we have had no leadership. We haven't addressed crime. We haven't addressed personnel issues, obviously. We haven't addressed anything. This guy has been sitting on his thumbs since he got in office. So, all right, CJ, I know I took a lot of time. But
No, I'm more than happy that you took all that
Go
time.
ahead. Take it away.
You know, like I said, last night's meeting was very interesting because some of this was brought up by Nelson during the public safety meeting. Helen Rigo brought up the 3-minute standard, and that's when they turned around and said, that's a fire protection standard. That has nothing to do with EMS.
Yeah.
And then he proceeded to, as you said, support fire-based EMS.
Yeah.
Made absolutely no sense.
Yeah, because just quickly, just remember, if we went to fire-based EMS like they promised, this is what they could do. Because I tried to get fire-based EMS 20 years ago. We would have the safest possible scenario. Because you can hire half of the firefighters can be paramedic qualified, and only a few of them are on the ambulances. And then you could put a paramedic and somebody who's qualified advanced on every single truck in the city, on every single shift. That way, if there's a cardiac arrest near somebody's house and that ambulance is away, you don't have to wait that extra 3 or 4 minutes and somebody may die. You can dispatch that engine company or ladder company that has, a go bag on it with a defibrillator and stuff like that, with somebody who's qualified in advanced life support, and start advanced life support within the time parameters, save lives. But does the city of Fall River want to do that? Because it's the best way to go? No, Paul can't make any more jobs. Go ahead, back to you.
Here's the funny thing. The chief of the EMS department, and I use that I use that reference liberally, said that when it's an emergency situation where it's critical, they dispense or dispatch a fire truck and a police car, because they're first responders and they can respond to the needs of those people before the ambulance gets there.
That's a flat out lie, and you know it.
Yeah.
What did the fire-based EMS booklet that I brought, what did it say? It said that the critical life-saving it starts when they can, on a cardiac arrest, when they get advanced life support.
Correct.
These people are first responders. They know CPR. That's it. You get a paramedic on that truck, and they can then give advanced life support. It's an absolute con, and it's disgraceful for someone in public safety to manipulate and distort reality for their own benefit. Because you know something? 8 minutes, is that what you're going to say when you lose somebody? I don't know what kind of person you are, but I'll tell you one thing. When I went to a fire and we lost somebody, or almost lost somebody, I always wondered what would have happened if we could have got here a little sooner. What would have happened if one of my trucks that was out on another run would have been here rather than me waiting for another truck to get there to start a full operation? You don't think of that? Well, then you don't have a soul.
It's very interesting, as I said, because
personnel issue.
I know.
And let's get back to why they did it. Not because it was beneficial to public safety, but because of a personnel issue.
and remember, it was to also create camaraderie amongst the EMS personnel.
yeah, well.
Now, I guess that's to solve the personnel issue.
Yeah.
But the thing that really was insulting to me, and Laura Washington did this,
Again.
was when she said, let's table this matter. And they voted to table it.
Yeah.
That was insulting.
Well,
That was like saying to the people, okay, we heard everything, we're done, we can't do anything about it, so let's put it aside and hopefully everybody forgets about it. Because you know, keep your head down, keep your mouth shut, everyone forgets about it.
Yeah.
And you know how that works in Fall River.
Well, that's a travesty. Table public safety. But she's in the business of saving lives.
And Brad Kilby started out saying, well, you know, we got a city council meeting and we're out of time, so we've got to go. City council meeting starts after your meeting. If your meeting takes 2 hours, oh well, the city council meeting starts after 2 hours. As long as they start later than the posted time, they're fine.
Yep.
So I don't want to hear that. Okay? We know that Brad wanted to get out of there because Brad wanted to get out of there.
That's right. I don't know. What time's the bars close? Fall River, #1. Fall River, #1 again. In the latest. As I said, I will reiterate. Last updated November 7th, 2022. And there was movement in that list. I'm not going to go over the whole 10 because nobody cares.
Right.
The only thing we are victorious in, we cannot crack the top 200 in education with all the money and all the jobs. And he added another assistant superintendent. He's making another supervisor because of a personnel issue. But we can't crack the 200 in education, but we're always #1 in crime. 3 years he's been, isn't it a coincidence? He's been a mayor 3 years. Has he had one press conference talking about what we're going to do about crime? Are we going to try to re-engage the community? Do we have some new cutting-edge policing methods? And I'll be the first one to admit I'm not an expert in police. You know, so why, you know, where is the discussion with other police chiefs, with other, you know, for some kind of resolution? But it's nuts. Again, this city and this council, with the exception of Michelle Dion, they don't care about public safety. They don't care about spending your money, and they're both absolute disgraces.
Sad part about it is that the only time I remember Paul having a press conference regarding a crime issue was Griffin Park, the killing of a kid.
Yeah, but that was only after.
And then, right, and then it was after the fact, and it didn't talk about how we can solve this issue.
Yeah.
So, you know, we need a leader who leads, not a leader who just sits on his thumbs and does nothing. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you for being supportive of our show and continuing to watch it for over 10 years. It's been great being here with you. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Be safe, be well, hold your politicians accountable, and thank you for watching. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.